Hello guys, and welcome to this React.js tutorial. So in this tutorial we'll be talking about React.js components. So let's start. So let's go to our project in our code editor, and as you can see this is a component, and there are two types of components in React. We have a functional component and a class component. So as you can see this is a function, so this is a functional component. We can also have class components, so RCC, as you can see this is a class component. Also, I would recommend downloading this React.js extension. It is called ES7 React Redux GraphQL React Native Snippets. So you can just make components really easily now. You can just do RFC for a React functional component, and as you can see we have a function and it's a functional component, and you can do RCC just like I have done to create this class component. So we can delete this component, we don't actually need it, and I'm going to delete this header. Okay. So when would we use functional components and when would we use class components? So we would use class components when we have a big state for the project. Otherwise we will just use a functional component. So let's say we have a navbar, and that navbar is going to be included in every single page of our website. So we should just make that into one component, and then we will import that component and use it, instead of actually copying and pasting the code for that navbar each time we have a new page. So let me just show you an example. So let's make a new folder. This is the right way to do it. Components, and then we can store our components in there. We have a new file, we'll call it example component. So always start with a capital letter when you are creating a component, and then example component.js. And to create our you should use a functional component, because this is a really simple component and we want to be using state. So just RFC if you have downloaded the extension. So as you can see we have a scaffolding for our React functional component, and it's called example component. So let's just put some text in here. So hello, I am an example component, and now let's just assume this is a navbar. So you don't want to copy all this code each time you create a new page and then paste it inside that component for that page. So what we can do is just go to app.js, and then we can just import our example component. So you would import it like this: import example component from /components, which is the folder it's in, /example component. And then we can use this component simply by doing example component and then closing it. And now if we go to our website, as you can see we have hello, I am an example component. So you can also pass in props to that component. So where would you use props? So let's assume you have a card that you have styled, and you want to use that card in many pages. So you would create that in its own component, so you can just import it instead of copy pasting the code each time. And but you just want to change the title for each page. There's going to be a different title for that card. So we can pass in a prop, and we'll just call it title, and then we'll say page, and then we can receive that by just doing props, and then we can use object destructuring. You can do it like this. So let's remove all this, and then you could do props dot title, because that's the name of the prop that we have passed in, title, and then that would just say page, because that's what we passed in, as you can see. And we can use object destructuring instead, so we can do title equals props, and then we can just do title now because we have defined it over here, and now that should do the same thing without any errors. And we can also just do object destructuring over here instead, so we don't need this, and then we'll just do title, and that will do the same thing. As you can see we have page. Okay, so how would we receive props if this is a class component and not a functional component? Well, it's really similar, so let's just delete this and do RCC, React class component, and we can just do this dot props, so this referring to this component, and then this dot props dot title, and then it should do the same thing, as you can see. So we have page now. And we can also use object destructuring to receive the props, so we can do title. This is the preferred way, like it's much more neat for the code. And then const title equals this dot props, so we're getting title from this dot props, and then over here we can just do title. And sorry, this is meant to be inside the render function. So the class components has a render function that returns your HTML code or JSX. As you can see, it still works. I hope you have enjoyed this video and learnt about React.js components.